generally okay with the guest making the move and then he doesn't take it back.
Wow, trusting the judgment of others, Magnus Carlsen. Will he take this move back? No?
He just adjusts the pieces. I think he told her what to play.
Wow, the English opening here in England, Saga.
Yeah, a very important clash, especially for the Alpine Pipers, because they have a chance to finish in top 2 and Magnus has to strike on board 1.
And what do you think? Who does that make the favourites, this dynamic? Is there pressure on the Pipers in this almost must-win situation? Or do you think the Ganges Grandmasters, now they have less to play for, do you think being able to relax is going to favour them?
Yeah, I think it'll help the Ganges Grandmasters, but I guess for Magnus, he really thrives under such pressure. I mean, a man who's played 5 World Championship matches and has won every single one of them is someone who rises up to the occasion. So he must be looking forward to this moment where he has the white pieces against Anand, who is not in great form.
That's right, and in recent times Magnus has had a very good score against Anand. They did, however, draw back on day 1 of this event, and this English opening now very tense.
It's a very big game for him.
Yeah, he knows he's been at his best either. These two great champions, these two legendary players, slightly frustrated in their attempts at kind of getting into top 4, clicking into top gear. But look at this, Saga. Magnus, he's so determined now. He's given up a pawn already. If we can just backtrack, maybe just 2 moves to show, a few moves to show how this game has progressed since we were last here.
Yeah, this actually converted into some form of Sicilian, yes? It's a Sicilian defense here, and Vishy took there, pushed his pawn, and Magnus was like, take the pawn, I don't need it.
Yeah, sometimes doubled pawns are just a liability, they're just a weakness. You don't want that burden of having to defend them, so Magnus gives up a pawn in order to ruin the black pawn structure. And now, we talked about bishops and knights just a moment ago, Saga. White's bishops, they have potential, but he needs to open things up, and look at this, Vishy gives back the pawn in order to try and force the queens off the board.
Wow, this is some high-level play here by both these former world champions. They want to not land up in a position where one side has the initiative, so they are ready to part with pawns just so that they don't get into trouble.
That's right, there was central tension there. Black was about to come under attack on the king side with White's bishops, White's rook opening up. So very, very creative move there from Anand, I'm going to say, and like you mentioned, not materialistic at all. These top players, they realise it's about flow, momentum, not being attacked, and that's the number 1 priority. Pawns at this stage of the game, not the most relevant factor. So Magnus, big decision. Does he take that pawn, allow a queen exchange? No, he drops back.
He has to trade queens, but David, he's pulled the bishop back, maybe just to keep the pawn defended. But now, with an endgame coming in, don't you think that being a pawn down is a major disadvantage?
Could well be. Very brave decision from Magnus. It's justified, as we see with the win probability just above the board there. White slightly for choice. Maybe it's simply because White's bishops, especially the dark square,
just realized that this is art. You know, the way in which he pushed his pawns, taking away these squares, the king here taking away another square. Now maybe the rook swinging, oh, can't go here, but I want to reach there somehow.
That's right, if white could land a check, the black king is really struggling, but Magnus brings his bishop in. This is a sacrifice. He's giving up his corner pawn there. The black rook offside though, and Magnus is creating a passed pawn.
What is happening here, David? If you take the pawn, why did Magnus do this?
He's giving up another pawn. He's actually going to be down by 2 right now as Anand there. Indecision, he captures a second pawn. The white rook, however, is going to enter the action. It's 3 versus 2.
And what Magnus is essentially saying is that my quality of pawns is much better than your quantity of pawns.
Exactly, and right now the black rook is not participating in this game. The black rook is stuck on a really ugly square. It needs at least 2 or 3 moves to rejoin the action, but in the process of those 2 or 3 moves, the net is closing around the black king, and white's e-pawn might well cost the black bishop its life.
Right, and if Anand can just get this, like sacrifice the bishop for this pawn, use his rook to capture the final pawn, that's exactly what he wants, but I guess Magnus is not going to allow that to happen.
That's right, Magnus doesn't want to cash in on his powerful pawn too early. There we go, rook takes pawn, check. First of all, 3 attackers, the white king, bishop and rook, gathering around the black king. I don't think Magnus will push, as you say, Saga. He might only push the white pawn forward if he can guarantee he's going to checkmate that black king in the process.
Yes, exactly. This move would be a big mistake because then Vishy gives up his bishop and then takes this, and this is a draw. So clearly Magnus has to find a way to make progress here without pushing the pawn.
Anand has played very natural moves, but how to defend now? The black rook, let's assume it slides across and takes a pawn. White is going to give a check with his rook. This is going to happen. Oh,
he doesn't take the pawn. He just goes 1 step to the side. A check did happen as you predicted, David. King goes to the side, and where's the mate? Because if you enter with your king here, here, there's a rook that wants to give you a check.
Only now does he push his pawn, Magnus. The black bishop will have to sacrifice itself to remove white's pawn, that potential future queen.
But wasn't that what Vishy wanted to do?
But the black king, I think, is trapped in the corner. It's going to be checkmate.
He wants to checkmate him. Beautiful. The pawns no longer matter. It's these 3 pieces coming together to checkmate.
Yeah, the dream team, all of white's pieces focused in on the black king. The black king lonely in the corner. Wow, we actually see that this position is declared by the computer to be a forced checkmate within 11 moves.
This is unbelievable, David. It's for a reason that Magnus is called the Mozart of chess, you know, the artist. And he's just done that today.
Exactly, conducting his pieces in perfect harmony here, Magnus Carlsen, conducting them towards the black king, and endgame magician, we call him a virtuoso here, Magnus Carlsen on the brink of victory. And he's trying to push his own pawn, but he's just too slow, and white is just putting those finishing touches on. A bishop check. We're going to see that bishop retreat next move, and his checkmate is forced.
Oh, it's a checkmate with the king moving. I think Anand will let mate know he resigns. What a game this was by Magnus.
Brilliance from the world #1 in this clash of 2 former world champions, and wow, huge victory there for the Alpine Pipers.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see Magnus very satisfied with that. And meanwhile, on board number 2, we have a result. It's drawn. Meanwhile, Richard Rapport, as predicted,